This story begins with a rejection that sounded final and cold. A Chinese businessman looked at a Filipino blueprint and laughed it off. He said it was too simple, too risky, and not worth his money. He pushed it aside and walked away, believing he had seen everything in business. But what he did not know was this: that rejected plan was about to become a project so powerful that it would shake his confidence, test his pride, and force him to beg for a second chance he never thought he would need. The Filipino engineer, who created the blueprint, did not argue or beg. He quietly packed his papers and left the meeting room. Outside, the city was loud, but his mind was calm. He had faced rejection before. He believed in his idea because it was built on real problems and simple solutions. He knew that great projects are not always loud at the beginning. Sometimes they grow silently, waiting for the right moment to surprise the world and those who once said no. The blueprint was not flashy. It did not promise fast money or shortcuts. Instead, it focused on efficiency, sustainability, and long-term growth. It used local materials, smart design, and careful planning. The Filipino believed that good business should help people, not just profit from them. This way of thinking was different from what the Chinese businessman was used to. To him, speed and scale mattered more than patience and detail, and that difference caused the rejection. After the rejection, the Filipino team decided to move forward on their own. They found small investors who believed in the vision. These investors were not rich, but they were hopeful. Construction began slowly. Every step was careful. Every problem was studied and solved. The project site was modest, but the work ethic was strong. People in the area started to notice something different. This was not just another business. It felt like something built with purpose. As months passed, the structure started to rise. The design showed clear thinking and smart use of space. Energy use was low, waste was minimal, and local workers were employed. The community benefited directly. Small businesses grew around the site. Jobs were created. The project began to gain attention online. Photos and short videos spread quietly at first, then faster. People started asking one question: who designed this, and why does it work so well? Meanwhile, the Chinese businessman was busy with his own projects. Some were large, some were expensive, but many faced delays and cost problems. He ignored the small news coming from abroad. To him, small projects rarely mattered. But one day, a partner showed him a report. It highlighted a new development with very high efficiency and low cost. The numbers were impressive. The businessman leaned closer. Something about it felt familiar. He looked deeper into the report. The design style, the structure, the ideas. Then it hit him. This was the same blueprint he had rejected. But now it was real. Now it was working. And now people were praising it. His expression changed. The confidence he once had was replaced with silence. For the first time, he wondered if he had made a serious mistake, not just financially, but in judgment. The finished project was completed ahead of schedule. That alone surprised many experts. It opened to the public and immediately showed results. Costs were lower than similar projects. Output was higher. Maintenance was simple. The media picked up the story. Headlines talked about smart design from the Philippines. Interviews praised Filipino innovation. The project became a case study in business schools and engineering forums. Its success could no longer be ignored. The Chinese businessmen watched from afar. Every article felt like a reminder. Every interview felt personal. His own projects were now compared to this one, and the comparisons were not kind. Investors started asking questions. Why did he not invest in this? Why did he miss it? Pressure grew. His reputation, once solid, now had cracks. And all of it traced back to one decision made in a single meeting room. Finally, he made a choice he never imagined. He reached out to the Filipino engineer. The message was polite but careful. He praised the finished project and asked for a meeting. The Filipino read the message slowly. He remembered the rejection clearly. But he also believed in growth and learning. He agreed to meet, not out of revenge, but out of curiosity and professionalism. When they met again, the power balance had changed. The Chinese businessman spoke first this time. His tone was softer. He admitted he had underestimated the idea. He said he failed to see its value. For a man used to control, this was not easy. He asked if he could buy the rights, or partner, or expand the project under his company's name. It was no longer about pride. It was about survival. The Filipino engineer listened quietly. He did not interrupt. When he finally spoke, his words were calm and clear. He explained that the project succeeded because it was built with respect for people and place. It was not just a design to sell, it was a vision. He said partnerships were possible, but only under equal respect and shared values. Money alone would not be enough this time. This response surprised the Chinese businessman even more. He expected negotiation tactics, not principles. He realized that the strength of the project came from the mindset behind it. This was not something he could simply buy. He would have to change how he worked, how he decided, and how he listened. For the first time in years, he felt like the student, not the expert. The story spread even further. People online discussed the lesson behind it. Rejection does not always mean failure. Sometimes it means delay. Filipino creators felt proud. It showed that local ideas could compete globally. It showed that simplicity, when done right, can beat complexity. The project became a symbol, not just of success, but of patience and belief in one's work even when others do not. The Chinese businessman faced criticism at home. Some said he was careless. Others said he was too focused on trends instead of fundamentals. He accepted it quietly. Inside, he knew the truth. He had judged too fast. He had ignored a different way of thinking because it did not match his own. That realization stayed with him longer than any financial loss. Negotiations continued, slowly. This time, the Filipino team set the terms. They protected their vision. They ensured fair treatment for workers and communities. They focused on long-term impact, not quick expansion. The Chinese businessman agreed to conditions he would have rejected before. He understood now that the real value was not just the finished project, but the system and thinking behind it. No projects were planned under this new partnership. They followed the same blueprint philosophy but adapted to new locations. Each one succeeded. Each one proved the original idea was not luck. It was skill, it was discipline, it was respect for detail. The businessman's company slowly recovered its reputation, but this time with a different image. More thoughtful, more careful, more open to learning, the Filipino engineer became a respected voice in international forums. He spoke about rejection, resilience, and responsibility. He reminded young creators that being ignored does not mean being wrong. Sometimes it means you are early. His story inspired many who felt unseen in their own countries. It showed that global success does not require copying others. It requires trusting your understanding of real problems. The finished project continued to operate smoothly years later. Maintenance costs stayed low. Communities stayed involved. Students visited to learn from it. Engineers studied it. Business leaders asked questions. It remained a living example of how good ideas age well when they are built on solid values. Its impact went far beyond profit, touching education, employment, and confidence. Looking back, the rejection became the turning point. Without it, the project might have been rushed or changed to fit someone else's taste. Being rejected forced the Filipino team to stay true to their vision. It gave them full control. In a strange way, the no became the reason the project reached its full potential and proved itself without compromise. The Chinese businessman later admitted in an interview that begging for the project back was one of the hardest moments of his career. But he also said it was one of the most important. It taught him humility. It taught him that innovation does not belong to one country or one mindset. Good ideas can come from anywhere, and ignoring them can be costly. This story is not about winners and losers. It is about perspective. One man saw risk and walked away. Another saw purpose and moved forward. Time revealed who understood the problem better. The market responded not to ego, but to value. And value, in the end, always finds a way to be seen. For viewers watching this, the lesson is clear. If you believe in your work, build it properly. Rejection is not a stop sign, it is information. Use it to refine, not to quit. The world often understands success only after it is finished, not when it is planned. The Filipino blueprint was never just paper and lines. It was a way of thinking. When it was rejected, that thinking stayed alive. When it was built, it spoke for itself. And when the man who rejected it came back, it showed that true power lies not in approval, But in results, in the end, the businessman did get what he wanted, but not on his original terms. He gained a partnership but lost his certainty. The Filipino gained recognition but kept his principles. This is why the story matters. Because sometimes the people who reject you today will return tomorrow, not to judge your idea, but to ask how you made it work.